Today we'll be talking about Dunkirk, a Christopher Nolan movie. And in the same way that Christopher Nolan kept this movie short and sweet in comparison to the rest of his movies, this review will be as such. So, what about this movie? Well, there was a battle towards the beginning of World War II where there is an escape off of Dunkirk. And I guess that's kind of the spoiler for the whole thing, but you go into this either knowing that they're going to escape or knowing that the Allied forces were going to win eventually anyway, and even if they lost or won this battle, they would win the war. So, what about it? What happens in this movie? Well, you have a lot of, frankly, nameless people. You don't have faceless people. You have many faces that you remember, but there aren't really a lot of names associated with these characters. You have these soldiers who are trying to escape off this island. That's what you get. You get a touch of exposition in the form of text, maybe 4 sentences, which is a good amount. You don't want a whole novel before you watch your movie. But at the same time, it just kind of launches you into this island and these guys trying to escape, and only one of them being a survivor out of the, I don't know, 8 or 10. And you never really see the city again. After that, maybe like 4 or 5 minutes, the rest of the movie is out on the ocean, whether it's in the air or in the sea. You have many little subplots coming together, hopefully anyway. You have many different one-offs of different characters, and you just hope, okay, this all better pay off and connect at the very end, otherwise I'm going to be angry. Most of them do. Most of them come together just fine. But I gotta be honest with you, I wasn't really that impressed with it at the end. I liked it, but the reality is Christopher Nolan has set a bit of a standard for himself. Coming after movies like The Dark Knight and Inception and Interstellar and Memento and other movies that I'm forgetting to mention, you expect a great deal from this guy. And maybe that is an unfair expectation, but considering it's the same person, you'd expect a very riveting movie. And instead, you just get a riveting movie, which all in all isn't that bad, but I don't think it's worth these extremely high ratings this movie seems to be getting. But it's still good. So what actually happens? You have many nameless but memorable faces. You have that one guy from One Direction, who actually isn't that bad of an actor in this movie. He's a bit of a jerk, but it's expected. You have these two guys that are together throughout the most of the movie, not intimately, but they're soldiers and they're in the same, and they meet on the beach, and one of them was burying this guy, and you don't really know why. They might have shown why in like the 2 seconds of screen time. If you look away from this movie for more than half a second, you're gonna miss something. That is one thing I have to give Nolan credit for, is really knowing how to jam-pack each shot of this movie. And frankly, that is a rarity. Jam-packed of insightful things anyway. Some directors will fill their movies, but not necessarily with meaningful things. There are some pretty cool, I have to admit, really cool fight scenes. The airplanes, they're decent. Most of the warfare is on the ocean front, though. You have this controversial escape. Well, controversial in the sense of the British are making sure that the British people get off first. There's British and French people on this island and of Dunkirk, and they're all trying to get off, but the British want to make sure that the British are taken care of. it makes sense. I mean, if you have the United States and Mexico on, say, there's some remote island, and residents of both countries are there, and if the United States, military is there, they would want to get their people off first. Just like if the Mexican military was there, they want to get the Mexicans off, and so on and so forth. So that's fine. But of course, that ruffles a lot of feathers. And then there's a set of stretchers, like 8 different stretchers. They're trying to take the sick and the wounded off the island first. Commendable. Understood. But these 2 random characters that we're supposed to care about, even though we don't even know their names and really nothing about them, like, what? Why should I care? You're never given a reason to care. They're just there, and they're just the protagonists, and you're just supposed to care. I can't do that. Maybe you can. But yeah, and then they take the stretcher, and there's a guy on it, and you think, okay, this guy's gonna do something heroic at the end. He never does. That was a particular emptiness that I felt at the end of the movie. It was just like, well, why did you spend so much time on this guy in a stretcher if you don't even have any payoff? It's kind of stupid. That's really the only eyesore that I had. And then everything else was either okay or pretty cool, but it's not my favorite movie. I think it's also good though in terms of its intensity. There are definite scenes that you're wondering what's going to happen next. You don't feel like you know everything that's going to happen. You feel like you probably know about a quarter to half of the things that are going to happen as an average viewer. Some more adept viewers might know 3/4, but that's as far as you're going to get. There's still a little bit of intrigue and mystery, which is rare these days. So you have those things going on. You have this very small boat filled with a father and son, and then some local townsboy who just is around and starts putting life vests on the boat, and they're trying to head over to this island so that they can save people, little boat by little boat. They go a bit rogue. They pick up a former pilot that got shot down, and he gives them a hard time for going back to Dunkirk. What? It's a death trap. Why would you go back? Fair enough. The local boy doesn't really have much of a build-up. And then his part of the ending, there's a line in there that he wants to have fulfilled. It's fulfilled, but the stuff in between with him is just so weak that you're just looking for the payoff just to sign off any percentage of a good payoff. Even when they put him in the newspaper as he said he always wanted to be in. Great, you put him in the newspaper. That's 2% of what I wanted. Where's the rest of it? So, honestly, I think that pretty much just gives you a good overview of what you're going to get. You're going to get some cool action scenes. You're going to see a lot of, military, warcraft, warfare, that kind of thing. You're going to see some sweet shots with different ships, some intense moments where a former boy band person can actually be a good actor. That's nice. You'll have protagonists that you won't have any attachment to because you don't even know their name. And if you do know their name, you're going to know it in the credits scene because you stayed in the movie. That's all you're going to know it by. The constant warding back of different storylines gets a bit like Whiplash. Maybe much milder than that, but you get my point. And only half of the things pay off in the end. The other half are just forgotten, and you're not supposed to care. It was cool seeing this escape filmed. It felt pretty accurate. I'm sure there were liberties taken, but you're making a movie. I don't think Nolan was like going out of his way to make a documentary. This is not supposed to be 100% factually accurate. So I don't have any criticism on that front. Nolan has a good way of directing. He really does. He has a good way of visual storytelling, and putting the pieces together. I think this is just one of his weaker ones, and that's my point. But a weak one for Nolan is still a good movie, so I'd say a B plus, and that is that. And we will see what I'll be doing. I'll probably be filming Atomic Blonde, a review of that this weekend, and then we will see from there. All right, so if you guys have any ideas, just let me know, and I'll see what I can do, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.